Hello everybody, good evening from sunny, still sunny London.
Good evening guys, thank you for joining tonight. So this is your weekly Wednesday evening tango class and tonight we have two lessons as usual. We are starting with beginners and improvers, people who are maybe in their first year of tango. And we are going to follow with our second class at 8 p.m. UK time, and it's all about intermediate, so it's for intermediate and advanced dancers, the second one. And today is all about dancing in cross system. So I'm going to explain what it means. But before I start, I think this demystifying the cross system is something that we wanted to do for some time, because it's something that we are often asked about, especially for people or by people who start, and even by more advanced dancers. How can you manage the cross system? So this is what we have in plan for today.
Let's start.
Okay.
Without any further ado.
Right. So as usual, we're going to start with a little bit of technique, but first of all, let me ask, if you're on your computer, if you want to tell us from where you're watching. So very warm welcome to you guys. And I will start with a little bit of technique for leaders to explain to you how we start tango in terms of the posture and the movement. And of course, we're going to go into the main topic today, the cross system, in a short while. So let's start with a bit of leader technique. Yeah? Okay. So, leaders, when we start tango, I think something that you need to keep in mind is to try to have your feet together when you can. So this is what I call the neutral position, and my feet are together, so this is being apart, it's together, so we try to always have the tendency to kind of get feet touching. Now, to build a posture, you're going to have to stretch nicely upwards, with your head going up, 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 and you're going to do one more thing, which is going back with the hips. I know I always start with this, in every class for beginners, but it's always very important to go back to the technique and especially the posture. So I'm going to go back this way here, and I'm going to make sure that this stretch is kept all throughout, and I'm going to also make sure that as I'm going forward, my pelvis is not starting to go forward or backwards. I'm going to keep it back so that there is some weight above, so my hips are above the heels and there's some weight on my heels. In other terms, I'm not too much in this way, I'm more like right here. Now that I've sorted my posture, I try to keep it, and I'm going to show you how we start moving forward as a leader. So leaders, you are going to have your weight on one leg, in this case it's my right leg here, and I'm going to project, which means to send my free leg, the left leg, forward in this manner. Note that here I'm actually starting to project without moving the supporting leg. Yes, so the projection is really that movement here without moving the hips or the torso. This is quite still. Now once I can't go any further, I'm going to do a bit of pushing on the supporting leg. I'm going to do one little thing, which is going a little bit back with my hip, so I feel that my heel is in contact with the floor, starting to push the floor, and to my knee is actually straightening. So I'm going to start pushing forwards, and this is what we call the translation, up to a point when we can't go any further, and in this case we reach what we call the middle point, where, as the name implies, we have the weight on both legs equally. Now, I'm going to continue going forward, but I'm not going to go with the chest. I'm going to go by pushing the floor with my foot going up, so the heel is going up, and I'm going to start connecting to my big toe on the floor and to the inner thigh to start pushing me forward with control all the way to the toes, in which time I'm going to do what we call the collection, which is the feet coming together. Yes, so actually one more time. Ready guys? Let's do it. So, projection, little back, pushing forward with this leg here, this is the translation, middle point, and collection here. This we keep at all times, so every time we do a step in tango, it doesn't matter if it's forward, back or side, we are using that technique here. So, yes, so let's have a look at followers right now.
Good, okay. So what happens here is, of course, I'm always going to be waiting for indication of transferring the weight first. So I know which leg I'm going to have available for the projection. So let's say this case would be the right leg. I feel the impulse of the projection from the leader, and now a push of the standing leg that's going to translate in the push of my standing leg into the middle. At this point, the heel is off the floor, so the weight is distributed in the middle and the back foot has weight only on the toes. And then I'm going to receive the indication to come back to axis, putting the heel down and collecting. One more time. Project, push, transfer, and arrival.
Okay, so this actually we do at every step in Tango. Now we're going to, I'd like to mention one thing, leaders, is if you're actually doing the same but in this direction, note that I'm actually facing my partner completely, so my two sides are in line with her two sides, and as I'm going forward, I'm using the space she just left here. Now this here, where my left is going forward and her right is going backwards, is called the parallel system. Parallel system is basically we are, if you like, synchronized with a big quote, of course. Here is a parallel system, 1 and 2. So I'm basically just taking the space she left with the foot, I'm entering into her lane, if you like. Yes, this is what we also call in lane, one going towards her, and she's freeing up the space for me to enter. This is called the parallel system.
Can we show it this way?
Yeah. So I'm going to go and take the space she just left, this way, and this way, and this way. Now if you're a beginner, chances are that it's very, very tempting to go around. Let me show you how it's done. Of course, something that you should avoid. It's very tempting to start doing this here, to try to avoid her foot. The problem is there's nothing to avoid because by the time you arrive, she's already gone. Therefore, my foot is right next to her other foot, and this is how we need to do it. 1 and 2. See here, my foot. Maybe we do it in this angle here. My foot here is right next to hers, and it's not here. It's there. Okay? Of course, I'm not indicating that I'm touching her foot. I'm here, and I just get her in lane here. Okay, so this is our position here. Good. So why am I mentioning this? Because in a second, in a short moment, we are going to explain to what is a cross system. So I just wanted to say, in comparison to the parallel system, what it was. So parallel system is where we are synchronized and in lane. So before we go into the cross system, I'd like to show you how we start moving together in parallel system. And I'm going to invite my partner with my left hand to build the embrace. My right is completing the embrace here.
And my left arm is going around Bruno's back, keeping contact with, let me turn you around, keeping contact with his arm all the way to the back, no gaps, and a little bit of presence and resistance towards him.
So, I'm going to either keep the embrace open like this, or if I start closing the embrace, I'm going to establish contact with the center of my body here. And I'm going to start pushing with the back leg, exactly as I did earlier. It's going to first produce the projection for my partner, and then I'm going to continue pushing to finish the step here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So I'll show you, or will show you with your music. Remember, leaders, you need to match the beats with your heel just about touching the floor. So let's see what we can play. We're going to play a bit of Biaggi to start. The beat is going to rock my partner from side to side, place her on one leg, start contracting my muscle here, and here we go. And this is the beat. Okay, so this is the beat. If you have a partner, you can train with your partner. Otherwise, as a solo dancer, what we recommend you do is go forwards, because you can go where you can see where you go. Even as a follower, go forward and practice the timing of your transfer to the following. So we'll give you a few seconds. We'll be back. Okay, here we are.
So thank you so much for the comments, guys. We have people from Europe again. We have also Venezuela. Hola,
Hola.
Venezuela.
Hola.
Buenas tardes. No sé bien el horario en Venezuela. I don't know what time would be now.
Sería las 5, me parece, las 5 o las 6.
De la tarde.
Sí. So maybe
Not
5 or,
too bad.
5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 5 or 6, maybe a bit more. In Venezuela, I'm not sure. Anyway,
So why don't you
in the
let us
afternoon.
know? Let us know what
It's in
time
the
is now in
afternoon.
Venezuela.
Okay.
Alright, yeah, moving on.
So, now that we actually had a look at how to start moving together, let's have a look at the main topic of the day, which is a cross system. So, cross system is simply, as you may now kind of guess, rather than walking my right or my left and her opposite leg, in this case I'm my left, her right, I'm going to do that system where we are walking with the same leg, which means my right, her right, or my left, her left. Of course, that has implications, because as you are in cross system, you don't have the same space for your feet, so you have to navigate around the lane of your partner, and this is very, very important, of course, that you don't step on her. Obviously, this is not needed to understand to explain why. So, as I'm actually entering into cross system, first I need to make sure that I change my weight and she doesn't. For example, I'm on my right, she's on the left, I'm sending her in this direction here. And I'm kind of placing her here, I'm kind of maintaining her in this position. I'm going to change my own weight, but not hers. Therefore, I end up with this foot forward here. Can you see? My right is actually going forward and she's going back with the left. Now, with the right, sorry, with the right, yes. Right and right. Now, as I'm going forward, I need to make sure that, of course, here, I'm going to modify a little bit where I'm placing my left leg. I'm not going to try to get inside here. I'm just going to go forward, and as you can see, now my foot is on the outside. In other terms, she's basically on my right and not my left. So let's do it again. Cross system is this here and that here. I think we should show it in this way, so it's a bit clearer. I'm going to go this leg here, my right, her right, and my left, her left here. So know that as I'm walking forwards, I'm not trying, for now at least, to go and have my foot go on the other side this way. It's of course possible, but it's actually much easier, makes more sense, to walk on this side of her. So if you look at the way we walk, suddenly you realize that we are walking as if we didn't have a problem with feet, because we have a little bit of displacement towards the left. So if you look at body position, suddenly I'm not completely facing her, I'm ever so slightly to the left part here. So you probably see a little bit from my body kind of starting to emerge on this part here, and I'm not completely facing her right here. Therefore, as I'm going forward, I'm able to, without looking down, place my foot on the floor, and I'm not stepping on her. 1 and 2. Let's do it with the other side. Here I'm going right, left, right, and left. So if you just started Tango, you might think, oh, it looks a bit wrong because we are not synchronized with the feet, but actually it's a system by itself. And the reason we actually are calling this class Demystifying the Cross System is exactly for that, to know that basically there is a way to dance in cross system. It's actually quite an interesting way, where the leader suddenly decides to be caught on the wrong leg. So this is quite interesting. And as a matter of fact, very, very few dances, I'm not saying none, but there are very, very few dances which offer that possibility to suddenly change the leg of the leader. So I'm deciding out of playfulness perhaps to do everything with my other leg. And that actually opens a new world of possibilities for the leader. And suddenly I'm able to do figures which were a bit simpler, of course, in a parallel system, but which are often more interesting. So we'll see one figure later to actually put it in practice.
Just one tip, if I may say. So just to make sure, leaders, you keep leading your follower, okay? Because for us, it's a back step. We need that continuous leading towards the back for us. So if you decide to change lane, it's always possible, but just keep on indicating the direction. Yes, so that we have the conviction that we are still going to the back, even if we are in a different lane.
So that means my intention, my chest continuously goes forward towards my partner, and I'm not doing something which is a little mistake that some beginners do, which is a bit too preoccupied by the feet, and suddenly they are starting to go a little bit like tiptoeing here. The problem with that is as soon as I do this, and not that here, she stops feeling the lead, and then her steps will be shorter and shorter until eventually what I was trying to do, which is to avoid stepping on her, actually happens.
So she won't go unless you go, unless you lead her to go. So you have to go as well to create a space. And what I mean by going, it means with your center, with your intention, as Bruno was just saying.
So let me show you again. If we have a bit of a practice on breath so that you can see the dynamic of what's happening, I'm going to start on my right, I put on the left, I quickly change before I go, and I go the right forward here. And I continue without too much fear of stepping on her because I'm slightly onto the left hand side here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So what I feel in this case is Bruno is keeping me here on this lane all the time. Yeah, so I'm not facing him so much anymore. I am still facing him with my upper body, but my hips are slightly in a different angle, not really facing him, if that makes sense.
So leaders, very, very kind of important thing here is if you are in a restricted space, which is a bit the case here, of course the studio is, is not a bad studio, but it's actually not as big as a huge hall, you all constantly will have to turn. So if you turn, of course, counterclockwise, which is what we mostly do in a milonga, when we dance tango, it means that your right leg is going to often, if I show you this way here, is going to enter the space of the follower here, but a lot of the time, because of the rotation, I'm going to brush her thigh with mine. This is normal, yes? Let's do it from here, and I show you. 1, to here, I'm starting to have a little bit of brushing of my thigh against hers because of the rotation that I ask her to do. Can you see what happens here? I don't shy away from having leg contact. I'm not trying to come here, which would be quite difficult for me to maintain balance because suddenly my feet are all over the place. So I go forward, and as I need to turn, I use the upper part of my body here to make her turn around. So followers, if you feel there is a leg contact, do not, I would say, panic. I don't know if panic is
Yes,
strong,
I understand where you're coming from when you say that, because in the beginning it will be a strange sensation not to be having your partner in front of you and having them on a different lane, and suddenly you'll have contact with the leg. You might be thinking, is this how it should be, or am I in the wrong lane? No, it's absolutely normal, but in the beginning it might feel a little bit strange to get used to it, of the different possibilities.
So we'll show you a few steps where we're just going to go about. If you're a solo dancer, just like imagine our recommendation, you actually allow me one thing I could show you guys for solo dancers. I'm going to go to my secret lair, to the secret space. I have a magic cupboard here. You know, anything can get out of this cupboard, you never know. So it could be an elephant or a giraffe, and now it's actually 2 sticks, you know, wonderful. Anyway, on this note, so if you are a solo dancer, our recommendation, you take 2 brooms, and what you do is, this is parallel system where you are going to synchronize the steps of your partner with yours. Yes, if I'm dancing with her, I'm going to go left with left, left with right, right with left, and this is how we dance normally. Quote. Now in parallel system, what you have to do is instead go this one, the left hand going with the right foot, the right hand going with the left foot. Can you see what's happening here? This is how you start kind of gaining in your system the feeling of being in a cross system. I show one more time. I go left hand with right foot, right hand with left foot. And this is, of course, symbolizing, if you like, the feet and legs of the follower. 1,
very skinny legs.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And as you can see here, of course, the legs of the follower will be a bit bigger than just sticks. But as I'm coming here, this moment here is when my leg right here is starting to brush my follower's leg, because I'm actually in the corner. See here, there's a little bit of displacement. That can be a bit of displacement where, because of the pivot here, there is a bit of contact at this stage here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is for solo dancers.
So good investment, guys. We recommend, if you don't have 2 sticks, why not? No, get some. It's a good investment for learning.
Okay.
And it's great fun as well for coordination.
I'm sure they would have 2 things which are of different size, like 2
but
brooms.
most people only have 1 broom, no?
Okay. I don't know. I'm sure you have a neighbor with a broom. I'm sure
It just gets more complicated.
I'm sure they have neighbors with brooms. Okay. So anyway, so this is how you can practice. Now, if you have a partner or neighbor, for that matter, what we like to start doing is go around and actually starting to close the embrace a little bit to get comfortable with that position and the fact that you're in cross system. So let me play a little bit of music. Alright, here we go. If it starts, come on. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to close the embrace. I'm going to slightly displace myself to the left, whilst I have my partner on that leg here, which is her left leg. I'm going to change my weight quickly to the left, and I go the right forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how I go without fear into your lane. Okay, so this is how it works to be in cross system. So, it's very likely that if you've started recently your tango and you have a partner to practice with, basically, it's likely that inevitably you will be in cross system after you make a mistake where you think she's on the other leg and suddenly it becomes a bit messy because you're not synchronized anymore. So this shouldn't actually worry you. If you're in cross system, you can quickly go back to parallel system and you have a few ways to do it. But the simplest way to do it is for you, leader, to change your weight in a half beat. So remember that she's going to be on the beat here. So what you have to do is bam, bam, bam. So you go and you change and you continue on the beat. That means that you have to change your weight in the center of the beat, if you like, where you go left and left again, or if you prefer, right and right again. So why would it fix the problem you have? Let me show you. Let's assume that you are in a parallel system here for a few steps, and then here, bam, bam, and then here I'm back to parallel system. So let me show you again. I'm in cross system, for some reason something happens, and then here I'm going to quickly go, change my weight in the center, and continue in parallel system.
Now one thing, guys, well, leaders in this case, just make sure that when you change your weight, don't change your partner's indication. Yeah, so the lead is the same when you change your weight. We keep on walking simple time to the back. You want to say a few words about that?
Exactly, so this is a very, very important point, because if you do this here, as you change your weight, she feels there's something, she might change her weight as well.
So it's not what we're trying to achieve here, so
exactly.
Be careful with that.
So my recommendation to you guys, if you want to change your weight but not hers, because the point is to fix your problem of being a cross system, is simply to lift her a little bit. So let me show you. At the time of the change of my change of weight, I'm going to lift her, which is my way of saying, stay where you are, and then I carry on here. So this little lift is a very kind of easy way to make sure that the follower does not change her weight here. As soon as you relax this lift, she's going to change. So keep it lifted until the next step where you can start to relax and you're of course back in the power system.
Very important point, by the way.
Okay, now, something that I think is probably the right way to introduce it is the other way to fix this problem is to lead a cross. So I think I'd like maybe to spend a few minutes on the cross and then we can wrap it up with what we have in mind today. So why is it called a cross system? Simply because a cross system is resolved by a cross, hence the name, yes? Or the fact that of course we are crossed with the legs, as in our legs are not kind of facing each other, it's actually they are in a cross manner, if you like, therefore cross system. But also I feel that it's actually also because it's can be resolved easily with a cross. So let me show you how to lead this kind of resolve or resolving. If you're in cross system, right is right, okay, and I'm going to do 2 more steps and then lead across. So I do 1 more here, and as I'm doing the second step, I'm going to have a bit of dissociation to my left hand side. So at this stage here, to lead across before I put my feet together and I go with the left forward. Let me show you 1 more time.
I think you may want to go a little bit more forward because
yes.
your feet are cut forward.
So, 1, 2, 3, little bit of dissociation. Now I wait for her to cross by leaving my left back, and I'm going to start going forward with the left here.
Let's show it this way, guys. This way. Mm-hmm.
Okay, come a bit more, please. That's it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, cross, and then you're going to go with the left forward here. We have very little space here, as you can see. But the idea.
Just
you want it this way. You want it this way.
I think it's important important because then you can see the legs in relationship to each other.
I think we need to actually do it sideways.
Yeah, also fun.
So, let me show you again. You start with the right forward, right, left, right. At this stage when I'm right with right, I'm going to have a bit of dissociation to the left. To produce the cross, I leave my left back here and I go with the left forward because then I'm back to power system. Yeah, so this is how you resolve a cross system situation, either by quickly changing your weight in a heartbeat or simply asking her to cross, therefore change her weight and you don't change yours as she does, therefore you are back to power system.
Are we going to spend a bit more time explaining the cross?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I just need to explain a little bit about the transfer of the weight. What happens with the cross, what indicates me the cross here, it's different situations happening at the same time. Depends on which equation we find ourselves in, it's going to be indicated differently. But I'm going to feel either because the space is asking me for me to cross, or I'm going to receive indication from the chest of the leader. And when I'm crossing, what's happening then is my weight is going from the right leg into the left leg. Now I uncross, and this is as much on the spot as possible with both heels together, no space like this way, and then I'm crossing as soon as possible, so we are ready to go to the back this way with the right leg. Okay, so just quickly one more time. We have that slightly opening of the hip, closing of the hip, transferring the weight, under toes first, then heel uncrossing and exit.
So for me as a leader, the lead is going to be, as I'm going forward with my left, apologies, with my right, I'm going to have the torso turning towards the left hand side, and because I do that, I'm rerouting the leg which was normally going straight. I'm rerouting this leg, the trajectory is modified to have a bit of diagonal, therefore she feels she has to cross. Now as she crosses, very important guys that you don't start walking straight away. You are going to wait a little bit that she crosses, and as she uncrosses, as she's transferring the weight, now together you go. So let me show you the timing. So we are in this situation here. I'm going to make her to lead the cross to her, maybe from here, so that we don't take much space. And then I'm going to wait a little bit here before I go forward with the left. Very important here, if you will do it again.
Can we do it a little bit
Maybe
on
this
the
way, yeah. Very important here, guys, that as she crosses, you don't try to start walking here because she hasn't finished her transfer.
So if you do that, you're going to block the space of the follower. She will not want to cross, yeah?
So, one, wait, and then together you go. Note that the foot that you stand forward is the left, and it has to be a relatively large step because you need to catch up with her. So, I'm going to, with my right forward, I cross, and I go with the left hand. Good. So this is the second way that I would actually resolve a cross system situation. So the beauty of it is, of course, as you can guess from now, you can go from parallel to cross using one of these situations, of course. Imagine you are in power system, happy days, nothing is a problem, and then suddenly you think, oh, I'd like to use this cross system that I learned. Up, and now I'm in cross. And maybe a bit more, and one, and now in power system. One, and cross, one, and power, and so on and so forth. So you see what happens here, I'm able to switch between parallel and cross system. For the follower, she doesn't really know what's happening, what she feels is we just go, and she steps to the beats, you know. And
yeah, as long as the lead is just for us to go back, yeah, and you keep the simple time. If you leave it that way, it should work.
Okay, so I would like to show what we had prepared for today, which is Saída Cruzada. So every piece we've actually explained, we just have to put it together. So look at this. I'm going to maybe an embrace this time. I'm going to go to the left hand side and I'm going to change my weight but not hers. Therefore I place myself in a situation of cross system and I go forward with the left while she goes back with the left. Now on the second step I'm going to use the cross lead that we just learned. Now, and I make sure that my left is staying back before I go forward with the left here. So maybe we show it a bit this way. Side to the left, change of weight for leaders, and forward, 1. And on the second step here, at the end of the second step, I lead across for the follower, I wait for her, note that my left is still extended before I go forward, and now I'm in parallel system. So I resolved the system from cross to parallel system.
And one final tip I would say, for us to get out of the cross, have a clear indication that we are leaving the cross, it really helps if the leaders relax the position of the embrace before that exiting step, so that I receive the indication we are going to exit this cross situation together. It seems like a small detail, but it's a big difference, because if you're not stepping together, then you really might stumble, yeah?
But I would say it's a big step for humanity, no? That's what you want to say. So, 1, change of weight for leaders, not for followers. Forward to the left, 1, 2, on the second step I lead across, and then I carry on with my left forward.
And let's show it this angle.
Which one?
The leg,
Oh, okay.
This way. Mm-hmm.
So, here, change of weight for leaders, forward, 1, 2, I lead across, I wait a little bit with my left foot, which I lead to the back, and I finish with my left forward. Now, note leaders that basically when you go and lead across, the reason I leave my foot back is for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 for design, reason number 2 is because it helps me with my balance. If I'm here, I'm more stable than if I'm with my feet together already. So I kind of wait for her and then I carry on gently. So as Paula just mentioned, the way to get out of this cross is to go a little bit down, to relax the embrace, and we go a little bit down here.
Shall we demonstrate it with the music?
See, let's do it. So I'm going to constantly change from cross to parallel system, and then I'm going to solve it with the cross. Right, so this is a few examples of resolving to the cross, and what we've actually been using today. So the sequence that we've been using is part of the salida cruzada. So why cruzada? Because of course it's a crossed salida, therefore salida cruzada. The normal salida, if you like, is this thing here, where we're going to do the same thing but with the other leg. We go forward with the right, not the left. There's no change of weight. You cross your partner, you change your weight as well, and then you finish with forward and side. Can you see? Maybe with a bit of diagonal. So this would be the classic salida. Some people start with a back step. You can start with a side step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the salida cruzada would be exactly the same as we did, except that we are going to finish with a side step. 1, change, palm, palm, cross, forward, and here side to complete your salida cruzada. So this is something that you might want to practice. It's a beautiful way to do salida. I like the salida myself, but I have to say I have a sweet spot for salida cruzada, which I find more interesting.
It's lovely. It's one of my favorite steps. And we are going to demonstrate for you guys a few alternatives, I believe. As you know by now, probably we always wrap up the class with some examples of what we just spoke about and some additional examples for you to practice as well. So we're wrapping up the class, and shall we start by the schedule?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So today, Wednesday night, next class, Friday, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., 7 p.m. leaders and 8 p.m. followers. Then we come back on Sunday, 2 p.m. and 3 p.m., 2 p.m. beginners, 3 p.m. intermediates and up. Next
I think
week...
it would be good to tell the...
Go for it, go for it.
Okay, so this Friday is our solo technique, so solo dancers technique and styling, and we're going to delve into the intricacies of the cross system. There's a lot to say for solo dancers as well. And on Sunday is our version number 2, or our second part of this cross system combinations, or demystifying the cross system.
So next Tuesday we do not have our workout because we just had it last week and it was weekly before, now it's fortnightly. However, if you feel the need to work out, you can always purchase a workout video, for example, and I'll show you the place where you can go and visit. So it's tanguito.co.uk/library, and we have all the classes we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months, I believe now almost 5 months. They are stored there, so feel free to have a look and have a browse. And also, if you want to find us on Instagram, is at Tanguito Academy and at Paula Duarte Tango. Right. And if you have not yet bought a ticket for this class, we would appreciate if you could do so, tanguito.co.uk/donate, and if not, please do a donation. We would be highly appreciative. Okay, time to demonstrate.
Okay. thank you very much for coming today.
Gonna have a short break, guys, and we'll see you back at 8 p.m.
See you around. It's a little bit wonky, sorry. Well, I'm sure you can read. It's okay. You just have to tilt your head to the side. See you later. Hello guys, welcome back to your weekly Wednesday evening tango class for solo dancers and couples. So we hope you had a good time during the first lesson, which was for beginners and improvers. And now we're going to start our second lesson on the topic of the day for intermediate and advanced dancers. And today is all about the cross system.
So we're going to be looking at different variations from cross system. It should be fun.
It will be fun for sure. I have to say I really like playing with the cross two parallel system and vice versa, because it's it makes the dance, if you like, very interesting, always fresh, and it also forces you to reconsider every step as an opportunity to do something different if you are on the other leg. So very kind of nice, for me, a very nice tool for leaders to always do something a little bit differently. So I remember when I learned tango, I had the sudden realization one day that actually every single step, or most of the steps that I had learned, can be done on the other leg. And suddenly I had opened a treasure box with, oh wow, this is amazing, because suddenly everything feels different. So it's like every step is multiplied by 10 suddenly, or something like that. So this is a very interesting tool. So cross system versus parallel system, always something that is interesting for us leaders to consider.
All right, shall we start?
Absolutely. So let us very quickly remind everyone coming here, if you just started now, the cross system can be simply done by sending your partner onto one leg and going with the same leg if you like. If she's going with the right, you go with the right. If she's going with the left, you go with the left. So in the beginner lesson, we have explored walking towards each other in cross system using the inner lane. That means I lead my partner slightly to the right, and of course with this lesson here we're going to explore the other lane as well, the outer lane, when my partner is onto my left side. So always kind of try to remember, leaders, what leg is on what leg is your partner, to see how you can start playing around in cross system. So we'll start today with rebound or rebote, which is a very interesting thing to do. If it's in parallel system, normally it's very simple. Let me show you. We're going to keep the umbrella a little bit open to start, and we might actually close it later. But to show you that if we are in parallel system, or if we are on this leg here, it's all very easy because we are synchronized. Bam, 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 bam. So we're going to start playing with that rebound and make it a bit more interesting in being in cross system. I'd like to to address one topic when it comes to rebounds, is the fact that you really have to push the floor when you come back. So let's say it's a soft rebound. Yeah? So what I would mean by harsh rebound, especially for followers, tell me, Paula, if you want to add anything to it, but it's basically the fact that you really have to pass by a very soft way to put your foot down, and it's not a harsh one where you suddenly kind of have a harsh way to contact the floor. This allows me a little bit of time to lead you for the next step. So all the rebounds that we are going to do today are what I would call soft rebounds, if you like.
All right, shall we demonstrate?
Absolutely. So let's have a look at how we can play with rebounds in cross system. I'm going to do that little variation where I'm going to change my weight. This is quite easy. I'm going to go 1 and 2, and then I'm going to go 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So
Let's
note
the other way.
Yes.
Sorry. So they can also see the followers part.
I'm going to change my weight. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So what am I doing as a leader? This is the easy part. We're going to show how we can play a little bit with body position in a second. But we'll start easy with this sequence where I'm going to go a little bit forward and a little bit sideways. That actually will instruct my partner. I want her to go back and then finish the pivot. So it's like being in an ocho situation, ocho atrás, back ocho, but every ocho is cut in two parts. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Let's see. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Good. So know that during this outro, as in every outro, of course, by definition we are in cross system, so this is not too hard, but because we are adding a rebound into the outro, it makes the outro a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, so I would suggest that we show separately leaders and followers so that solo dancers can see it also clearly.
Okay. So, oh, that's it. You want to do it next week?
Yeah. And you want to do it at the same time?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So, we are going to start with left forward, guys. So, 1.
So we have, yeah, that's what I mean. I think maybe do your part first. So then I explain, yeah, it's better. Okay. Yeah, so we can break it down.
Okay. So, forward, back, and side. And then I'm going to go forward and side. Now note, leaders, that I'm going slightly diagonal before I go sideways. Slightly diagonal before I go sideways. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. In terms of the lead, it's exactly the same as the outro forward. I'm going to have a slight dissociation to the left and a deeper dissociation to the left here. Slight dissociation to the right and a deeper dissociation to the right here. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Follows.
Okay guys, so we start with that rebote. Let's say that we are already on the right leg and we have a little bit of the rotation, so that was part of the outro back. And now we're going to have that rebote to the toes. And now what's happening is I'm going to go quickly forward and have a pivot to finish my outro. Yes, and then I will continue. How much rotation depends on how much rotation the leader is providing here. And again, rebote and going, pushing from the toes to the front leg, pivot and step. And if you do it in a continuous manner, it would be 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It's quite hard here to get the energy without the actual input of the leader, but if you manage to do it alone, it's a really good exercise. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So rebote, pivot, step, pivot, rebote, pivot, step, pivot. Shall we demonstrate together? One more time.
Shall we quickly demonstrate, because I have another version which is the version I wanted to show you, leaders. So I'm going to go a little bit forward, a bit sideways, a bit forward, a bit sideways, forward, sideways, forward, and sideways. Now you might say, yes, but okay, it's interesting, but the outro is in cross system anyway. It's true. But here I'm going to start playing with body position. This is where it gets interesting. So, I'm going to do exactly the same, guys, except this time I'm not going to go where it is convenient for me to go. I'm not going to come here, I'm going to come on the other side here. And I have to do exactly the same, standing up this way. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And most likely I'm going to end up with a little sandwich because of the energy I have in the couple.
Can you show it also with the focus to the camera?
Very slightly down. So I'm going to come to her right hand side and finish the outro. This side here and finish the outro. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Maybe with a little sandwich or this kind of ending here. You see, you realize, leaders, that the footwork and the lead is exactly the same as the previous one, the previous step that we just did. However, there is a fair amount of dissociation on the right hand side. This side here is not very difficult, guys. This side here, because of the embrace, if we open it a bit, it's fine. Even if we are a little bit more close, it should be easily manageable, even in close embrace. Now, the problem in close embrace here is going to go to center around you and still find the space to come here. Now, most of the time, this position is fine if we finish with a side step. This is quite a classic. This is called a change of lane, where I'm going to go around the right hand side of my partner here, and I finish with a side step. Except here, the added complexity is we are not going to finish with that rotation here, we are going to finish around the other side with a sharp pivot and sharp dissociation to the left hand side. Let me show you in this angle. It's going to be a bit more clear. This is the challenge. One, and here having enough dissociation to center here before we go around this foot to capture here. Again, this is going to be easy, and this is going to be much more challenging. 1, 2, and so on and so forth. Pam, pam, pam. Let's go a little bit this way. And 1, and 2, 3, and 4. 1, and 2, 3, and 4. This way. So, more than anything, leaders, take your time. If you try to rush it when you go forward, you really are going to lose your balance because she's going to take you with you. With her, sorry.
So, one tip, if I may say, would be to utilize the embrace that you have available to you at all times. What a treat, right? So, it's there for you, so work with it. When we have a little bit of space here in the embrace, and we give the intention to the arm via the back, we actually create a really good structure that will allow us to utilize the embrace for that ocho, because we need quite a lot of rotation. So we're really pushing the frame one towards each other. But the moment that we open the embrace, try not to have, and generally speaking, try not to have an attitude of close embrace. Because when we are in close embrace, we then have the centers together. Now when we open, we have a different attitude. We are straight, we are not reaching for each other, but we are a little bit more at the back of the embrace. So I feel Bruno's presence towards my arm, and I give him my presence towards his arm. Now when we also give a little bit of presence to each other here, then we are really complete in that circularity of the embrace, which will help us a lot for those over pivots.
So, we'd like to mention one thing, guys. Open embrace doesn't mean this. Yes? Open embrace can be as little as maybe 5 or 10 centimeters. This is just for the couple or each person to be in axis, as in straight, vertical, and without too much energy forward. As we said, if it's too much energy forward, you're going to struggle to find a space on the right hand side here. On the left hand side will never be the problem. I could be in completely close embrace here. This will not be the problem on this side here. So if I'm even going with my other leg, this will always be easy. Now the problem is going to find space on this side here. So always think as opening the embrace no more than maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe 3, that's enough, but that creates the energy in the couple to find the possibility to navigate around the body of your partner here. So let me show you again. Here, I know I'm not opening by much, but it's enough for me to find the space to navigate without any problem here. 1, 2, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so always remember, guys, that opening the embrace does not mean that you have this much space in between you. It can be as small as maybe 2 or 3 or 4 fingers, just that enough to create the sensation of stability in embrace.
So I would say the importance is the attitude, that you have in the embrace. In this case, we're really trying to stay as straight as possible.
Exactly. Should we show it?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. So we'll demonstrate for you guys and then we'll leave the music running for a bit so we can read your questions and give you some time to practice. So if you have any questions, now might be a good time for you to type them, yeah? Oh, okay.
My iPad
We have a ghost.
yeah, okay.
Changing
Sorry
the
about
music.
this.
The ghost didn't like the track, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Let's try it. For a few moments and we'll be back with something else. So we had a couple of questions. The last question
just came up.
Yes, the last question that we had was, how is the rotation led? So yes, there is in the space, in the case of the left forward, I need to actually activate the left part of my embrace. If I'm here, I'm going to use the left part of my embrace, most of it, to actually indicate the pivot to the ocho backwards to my left here. I show one more time. Once I'm here, this arm here is going to have a little dissociation to indicate that here. Now it's very tempting, guys, to start using the right part of your embrace to kind of push to your left. The problem here
Please don't.
is, well, first of all, it's not going to be very nice, and also the issue with that is that because you're in this position, you want to go here. If you push your partner to the left, you're going to push yourself out. So it's very hard then to actually go around the foot here. Because of course the idea is that we make sure that in this configuration we are going around the foot here. So there is the trajectory of my foot, yes, and my foot is having the trajectory here, around to come here and around to come here. So therefore I need to use the left part now, and now is the right part of my embrace. The left part and of course the right part there.
There was also one more question, if it's mainly the outer arm bleeding.
So in this case I just answered. Yeah?
Okay.
And the other question that we had is a lady asked if there were steps which were only using the parallel system. As a matter of fact, most of the steps are possible in both systems. However, there are cases where the parallel system is very inconvenient. So for example, if we are on the outer lane, what tends to happen is, I show you here, or maybe this way here, if I'm trying to use the outer lane, it's easy to just change the weight and step here, because that actually makes me can be able to actually come into this position here. Now, if I do the same, but I use the parallel system to go into the outer lane, then suddenly there's no full amount of dissociation. It's possible, of course, but it's much easier to just be in cross system, because suddenly we have space for our feet. So this is just an example of a step which uses the cross system and a bit less the parallel system, although, as I mentioned, most of the steps we can do both. And this is where the fun begins for leaders.
Okay, I think there was no more questions.
No more questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to continue with the same idea. I'm going to add one step forwards, and we're going to add a little rebound, as we did. See what happens. So this is what we have so far. We have a rebound on that part of her. I'm going to send her to the left. And a rebound on this part, I'm going to send to the right here. Now, what I'm going to do on the next step, I'm going to go forward 2 steps, 1 and 2, and as I'm here, I'm going to do a rebound where I'm going to go around her in this way before she comes back. So let's show you without stopping.
Can we maybe show a different angle that they can see something for both? Yeah.
Here, 1 and 2, and we use that lane here. So note that basically what happens here is I'm actually entering into a cross system situation. I'm going forward with the left, she's going back with her left. And on the second step with my right here, I'm going to pivot onto the right here and place my left on the floor. She's going to feel pulled towards me, and I'm going to have to cross here to liberate, to free up the space for her to step. So let me show you one more time. So I'm going to be in that situation here, left forward, 1, 2, and 3, and then here I have my weight on the left leg, therefore my right leg, therefore my left can go forward in again a cross situation. Let me show you one more time. So here I'm going left forward, 1, rotation, left forward here. And of course, what is nice in this situation is that you can use what you just did before. So this is how it would look. So I'm going to go 2 steps forward, 1, and then pump, 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 and then here. Now as the second one, I do it again. 1, 2, rotation, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and I do it again. 1, 2, rotation, pump, and so on and so forth. I finish with a side step for her, sorry, side step for me and back step for her.
Just want to give one tip regarding the left side of the embrace for the followers. I need to keep adjusting it continuously throughout the dancing. This step is of course no exception. So I'm going to show you how my left arm is changing position throughout this sequence, yeah? So let's say that here, I might be here if we are in a small open embrace, or I might be here if we are on a bigger open embrace, okay? Around the back. Now when the first rebote is going to come, my arm kind of had the space here to go around the back. Yeah, this is important because it ensures that I'm not trying to keep too far away from the leader. We need to keep that position close to each other. I also feel adjustment from Bruno, by the way. Let me show this way. We'll walk. You see, that happens the moment that we have that situation here. We are quite around each other, so we can keep that angle closed. Okay? The feeling is going to be a little of a saccada.
So now guys, as I'm here, remember I'm going back onto my left leg here. I'm going to dissociate with the left part of my embrace to indicate I want her around me. And she's going to just go around. Now this is when you can do your front cross, you change your weight, and you can go forward with the left on this side here. And at this stage, of course, as we mentioned earlier, you can repeat what you did earlier, which is a rebound, and then again, 1, 1, and 2, a rebound, here, a rebound, pump, and 1, and 2, and so on, and so forth. So it's quite an interesting little, almost like a cadena, where you can actually loop it and do it quite a few times. But of course, you can also do the first part without this, the second part, if you like, where you're going just to do your 2 steps forward in cross system, 1, 2, here, and then just finish here, for example. Yeah, there's no obligation, if you like, to do the first part, which was the rebound on each side. You can just finish it here. The other thing that I'd like to mention is right here. And here, I'm going to have another choice, which is rather than using the outer lane here, I can use the inner lane there. In which case, I might do a little bit of a saccada or a little bit of a stop here. Let me show you how it looks. One and 2, 3.
And
here,
this could be a possible adorno. You can leave the leg extended as well, or you can bring it into the collection.
and of course, you finish with, for example, a little border drop. So you have quite a few variants here. Let me quickly rephrase, to actually give it a context. Remember, guys, in cross system, 2 steps, pivot onto your right leg, left going around the left leg of the follower, and then you have either go this way or go on that way, depending on what you want to do.
Let's show them with the music.
Okay.
Yeah?
If I can.
If the tablet decides to collaborate. I have a sip of water whilst you try to sort it out.
Okay. Alright, there we go. Should be working.
It's working out. Try, guys.
Okay, we are back in a few seconds. Alright, okay, so let's continue. So we are now continuing with navigating around lanes. So remember guys, with a cross system situation, you can go on the outer lane or the inner lane or the outer lane, and you can continue going around whilst you are sending your partner to go back. Let me show you. I'm going to be able to be coming on this lane here, as we did for the beginner class. And then here I would be able to navigating now using the outer lane and staying here. Now nothing is forcing me to finish my Lancian. See here, I'm going onto the inner lane, and outer lane this way. So how do I get from inner lane to outer lane? I like to say a few words about the lead and also the footwork for leaders. So first of all, going from outer lane to inner lane. If we are in this situation here, it's going to be relatively easy, guys, to have the right on the floor. We have a little bit of rotational follower, and then suddenly my left is going forward. Can you see what's happening here? Maybe a bit forwards, so that we'll show it on the screen. So I'm going to be in cross system on this side of my partner here, and I have to go forward with the right, and the left is going to go around. Now I'm actually on the other side, and I just have to continue this way. So in effect, to navigate from the outer lane to the inner lane, you use the left leg with a bit of rotation here, where you send her basically onto your other side. Now, if you are going to go from the inner to outer lane, which is a bit more difficult, most of the time you'll have to navigate with the right leg going forward and the left leg navigating around here, her right leg here. So there's a little bit of that happening, a bit of snake happening, if you like. Actually, it's called the snake walk, by the way. We're going to show you in a minute. But it's actually quite nice to go and simply send your foot around here.
Yeah, because we are not really expecting the change of lane sometimes, so it gives a really, really nice unpredictable change.
Yes.
At that moment.
So let's show it with the music. Right, here we go.
Let's see. Is it coming? Yes.
Right, so note here, of course I can start playing with the rhythm as well as my lanes. It's not very difficult, but something that you need to do, leader, is to constantly lead your partner to be on one side of you or the other. Not a very great deal. Note that here we don't need to open very much the embrace. We can actually be in very close embrace, except there's a little bit of movement to the left or to the right, maybe by 5 centimeters, no more. Yes, a little bit of displacement to make it a bit more comfortable. Now you can stay in position, but you'll see that it's actually a bit more comfortable to actually move in the embrace. If you are in parallel system and you go from the inner lane to the outer lane, you must move in the embrace. It's impossible, it's very awkward to actually do parallel system without moving. In cross system, it's much more forgiving, it's much more comfortable, and you could actually do it with almost no change in the embrace here. 1, 2, 3, 4. See here we have very, very little movement in the embrace. Whereas in parallel system it would be a must to have a bit more movement in the embrace.
So I feel even though there's not a lot of movement inside with this placement inside the embrace, I still feel like my center is shifting a little bit when I'm facing Bruno's chest. Is changing between being a little bit more on his right and a little bit more on his left, so that it's comfortable for us to change the lane. So try not to fight and really stay facing each other all the time, because it's not going to work. And I know we've been speaking a little bit about this also already in the first class, but it's something, if you find yourself that you don't have enough space in the legs, that could be one reason. So I constantly keep changing. Can I show if I'm showing this way? I keep changing. My feeling is either being a little bit more here or a little bit more here. So I'm not really fighting to stay facing him all the time, very centered, but I shift a little bit, so Bruno is displacing me each time. There's a little rolling here inside. More sliding than rolling.
Yes, exactly. But that's a very, very important distinction I would like to make here. It's actually a crucial distinction. There is a big difference in tango. I know it looks very, very subtle from the outside. It's important on the inside. There's a difference between rolling and shifting.
Yes.
Rolling is we are still facing each other. We just vary the point of contact. So basically, what happens here, if we actually show you with a little bit. Rolling is basically, there is no movement lateral, but it's just our body is actually, there's a little bit of shift of the point of contact. So if I show you here, the point of contact will go a little bit here, a little bit here. Now, the shift in embrace is what you need in some cases, is very different. I literally have to send her this way or this way here. Yes, so then in this case, our center of gravities are not matching anymore. We are actually literally going in one side or the other. So this
so in this case, yes, it's a very minor movement, but I still feel it. Exactly. That is changing and not staying central, and I think there is a few questions popping up. We're going to have a look in a second. But yeah, so work with it, yeah?
So I have one important point I'd like to make. If you are in a rotation like we are here because of the size of the room, and you are in cross system to the inner lane, and you are turning to the left-hand side, it's very, very important to understand that as soon as I start turning to my left, the desire of the follower is to do a cross. Why? Because basically if I'm here, I'm in cross system, and on the second step here, I'm sending her, sorry, I'm cross system this way. I'm sending her this way, she will actually want to cross. So how do I prevent her from crossing? So I need, rather than thinking, oh it's fine, I don't want her there to cross, therefore she won't cross, because she might, I need to literally tell her not to cross. How do I do that? By using this leg as a barrier, as a wall, so that she feels she can't cross. So there is a little bit of contact of thigh on thigh here, and I show you when. So if you're a little bit here, she's going to go back with her right leg, and here I'm on purpose establishing contact with the leg here, so that she's impossible for her to cross. If I place my foot a little bit further and I turn, she will cross 100% of the time. So I actually prevent that from putting my foot in between the legs here. So by the time I turn, she cannot, because she feels that the foot is pushed away in a rotation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so with this invasion here, it's make it very clear for me, this is not a cross. It's a big difference. Small difference, but it becomes a big difference.
It's hugely important here, guys, because otherwise she will cross a lot of the time here. As soon as she feels there's a little bit of space, she will cross no matter what, because of the rotation. So here, I'm actually actively saying, please do not cross, but by sending the leg away here. And of course, this is why I take my time, as I do slow staccato saccada, if you like. and I use that as a little bit of energy for rotation.
Okay, but I think if we want to look at questions, we should do it now, because we're running out of time. All right. How is the not leading across different from the Sakala?
Very good question. So, how is this different from the Sakala? There is absolutely no difference whatsoever. So actually I am doing a Sakala to send the leg around so that she doesn't have the possibility to cross. Now, of course, the Sakala can be used as a mechanism to, for a bit of rotation or a bit of, let's say, decoration. But here I use it as a mechanism for her not to cross, so therefore there is little energy outwards here, it's more energy inwards. So I just prevent her from crossing by just blocking her basically. But if you want to have a bit more energy in the pivot, it's possible of course. And then I have bigger displacement, if you like, inside the leg here to have a bigger pivot. Why not?
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So I hope this was clear. So we'll close the class now, and we actually will do a little demonstration. But before that, we'd like to talk about a couple of things. First of all, the schedule this week and the next. So you have on Friday your cross system fundamentals for solo dancers, like technique. Lots of things to say about the cross system. 2, on Sunday you have the second part of our cross system, or demystifying the cross system series, so on this coming Sunday. And then on Tuesday next week we don't have any workouts because this is every 2 weeks. But on Wednesday is our next evening class, 7 and 8 p.m. like today, and this is going to be around the theme of the Americana. So this is the program for the coming week, and of course every previous class is recorded into our live library. If you want to show the
Again?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to do it today twice. Okay. All right. If I find the links, this is. Okay, guys. So as you already know, tango2.co.uk/library. This is the place to go for a browse of all the classes we've been doing. Instagram at Tango Academy at Paula Duarte Tango. Of course, feel free to pause this video at any time necessary. And we would really appreciate if you have not yet bought a ticket, if you could visit tango2.co.uk/donate and buy a ticket for today's class if you haven't done yet so. Or please do give a donation, we really would appreciate it.
Okay, so time for us to do a little demonstration for you guys. We hope that it was clear, that you understand a little bit more about the two systems, parallel and cross system. Remember, any step that you do now in parallel system, try to see how it works or if it works in cross system, and you'll have the big surprise that sometimes it creates a completely new step, which is quite an interesting adventure in your tango development. Right, so
de aquel divino encanto, fruto de nuestro amor. Ahora soy casado y no quiero más orgías, no quiero más los días de un tiempo que se fue. Hoy solo me ilusionan los besos, las caricias y las tiernas delicias del nido que formé.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We are going to be back very soon, Friday, for technique and starting class 7 and 8 p.m. UK time.
So as usual, don't hesitate to send us your remarks or your requests, even if you have ideas or desires for classes. We are very interested in your ideas. So we wish you a very, very good evening, and we hope to see you on Friday or Sunday. Have a great week. See you soon.
See you soon, guys.